Okay. Sorry about I'm late. Sorry about being late. I apologize. Let me do a mic check real quick. Mic check. Mic check. Might give me a mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.
Peace, peace, peace.
All right. Okay. Cool. Cool. Good. We ain't got a lot of people here tonight. Good. Means we can talk about some stuff. All right. Tonight, this is Discharge Dead. First and foremost, I want to go over a couple of things about the website and let people know some things. All right. Number one, of course, I guess everybody's starting to figure out you register for your webinars right here on live webinars. And this is where you're going to have your class schedule for the webinar schedule right here. All right. Next, we got our class recordings are going to be here. I haven't organized them yet, but I'm in the middle of organizing them. I'm gonna have all the recorded classes will be here. You click on this, and you're gonna see all the recorded classes. I'm gonna have them set up differently than what they are right now. But these are all the classes. You miss a class, it's gonna be right there. Of course, the security party training step-by-step videos. All right, we know what those are. Those are your training videos. I'm gonna be refreshing those up too in a little while. Okay. Then we have the archive section. These are the archives. These are all the old videos, old things, a lot of old, videos that I've done. Like here's some of my negotiable instruments webinars that I conducted back in the past, things of that nature. You just got access to them. I used to sell these things for like $150 a piece. I did it for years. I just decided to go ahead and just make them available to everyone. Okay, I got a cinema. I'm gonna be I have so many movies, and I'm uploading those too. I'll be uploading all my entire movie library. You know, when you go to college, they have a movie theater at the college. So I'm just going to be uploading movies and everything for people, and it'll always be some new stuff in here. There's already some things in here, but it's going to be a lot more. All right. Then, of course, you have your dictionaries, your PDF library. Right here, we got our download section. The download section is what is going, is what my favorite section of the website. This is where I really kind of upload a lot of my favorite documents, if you will. It's my favorite document portion. A lot of things that you have easy and quick access to, trust books, redemption, money. I'm still uploading a lot of stuff, privacy, class documents, court, UCC, affidavits, constitution, trust forms. I and the trust forms, I'll be uploading those today. That's not it, but it's the actual forms. I don't know what happened. I had them on here, but all the trust forms will be right here. Your negotiable instruments, mortgages, tax. These are your secure party documents. Anything you need is right here. All right. All your bonds, private set off bond, common law copyright, security agreements, UCC ones, SS4 applications, Form W8, all of that is going to be right here for you. Then you got your credit mastery documents. These are all here, all the letters and everything that you sent in to the credit bureau. All your credit information is going to be right here. All your criminal case information, your debt discharge, all of this is going to be right here. Quick access to everything, like I had before, but it's going to be a lot more stuff than what I had before, but a lot more stuff. All right. So, website is, we're going to have all the classes as far as your courses. They will be up today. You see the course self-paced course section. Right now, I have the credit mastery section. It's already up, getting started. Future obtaining business loans. I don't have the questions on here though, but if you want to go ahead and read through it, I would suggest that you go ahead and read through all of this because it's some excellent information. People paid $5,000 for this information on getting your credit, learning how to build business credit, learning how to build personal credit, and things of that nature. Hold on for a second. All right, I'm back. So all of that is here. Okay. And I'm going to have the other courses. They're going to be up shortly as well. And you got your secure party documents. Oh, here's the high frequency radio. Uh, this archive. These are all the radio shows that I did in the past. It's a lot. It's a wealth of information here too. You can sit here and just listen to a lot of the old shows that we used to conduct on high frequency radio. A lot of jewels in here. I mean, we used to talk about all kind of stuff. I had a co-host, so some of his stuff is in here. National agenda. That's the Moorish information. Getting your status, and Taj Tariq Bey, he was in there. The Moabite Oasis. He was a guest on my show for a long time. I haven't finished naming these shows, but as you see, it's a lot of different shows that were conducted in the past. You want to see how I started out? That's a good place to start to see where I started out. And of course, you got your guru section, a collection of all the guru documents that I've collected over the years and everything. Good information in here. Um, this EFT seminar with Fred and Nina, this was, this probably be a jewel nobody even knows about, when people were converting using closed accounts to discharge debt, and they were going all over the country conducting seminars on this, and made a killing. Made a killing doing it too. Made a killing doing it. You should watch it. You should watch that. And of course, you got your legal forms right here. It's going to be all your executor letters, equity, your court bonds, court system, attorney letter of instruction, a lot of different information on here as well. All right, so you can see there's a wealth of information on this website, and a lot more coming. As I continue to upgrade it. But today we're going to talk about discharging debt, and I'm going to direct your attention toward a document that I think is a very good document. There's this document right here. Using a bill of exchange to discharge debt. This was a document that I found years ago. Hold on. Hello? Okay, I'm sorry about that, y'all. Okay, I'm back. All right. Okay. Boy, it's just so much stuff to do. All right. Let's see here. Hold on, y'all, just 1 second. All right, y'all, just a second. I had to do something real quick. I am through. Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Let's get back to this. All right. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's get back. All right. So, as I was saying, use of a bill of exchange to discharge debt. All right. So, this right here was an excellent document. Now, the reason I like this document because it gets into some um, real information in relations to discharging debt. All right. And showing you how to do it. You know, I got your stamp. This stamp right here is like a very good stamp. Replacing your tags, you know, your data. You know, it's just an instruction how to put a bonded bill of exchange together. And the verbiage on here is very interesting. A letter of advice, which is letter of instruction, and also statement of account. And additionally, you have, you know, your copy, your letter of advice, and where's that bond at for court? Got a real good bond in here. Notice of error and request for investigation right here. This is interesting. To the error resolution officer on such and such date, a bonded bill of exchange and after draft was sent to you via certified mail. I would use registered mail. See attachment 1. Attachment 1 is going to be your 3811 form. This draft was in an amount sufficient to pay the full balance of my account. I would say set off. I would not say pay. This payment or this tender, I would put this tender for the satisfaction of this obligation was received in your office on such and such date. On such and date, a second invoice, I received another invoice and did not include a credit for the instrument mailed on blah, blah, blah. The latest statement includes a late fee and additional finance charge. Since the draft should have been settled, the account in full, and you received the payment before the due date, on due date, blah, 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 there should be no late fee or additional financing charges. This is my written notice of error under the Truth in Lending 12 CFR 226.13. I'm requesting clarification on the following issues. Why was the payment, blah, 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 discharge not posted to my account? Why was the late fee charged when the last payment arrived by the due date? Why was an additional interest charged when the last payment would have settled the full account? As I understand the regulations, 12 Code of Federal Regulations 226.13D have the following rights. The statute gives the consumer the right to withhold a disputed amount and collection under, this is the truth, this is, the consumer protection laws right here. Okay. At this point, the entire amount of the most recent invoice is being disputed. Your credit card company is prohibited from issuing an adverse credit report to the credit reporting agencies while this matter is in dispute. It's my understanding that your company has 30 days from the date you receive this notice to provide me with a written response. If you discover that an error has occurred, I will accept a statement that corrects the error listed above as your response. If you determine that no billing error occurred, I shall expect a written explanation while you reach such a conclusion. It always has been my intent to resolve this matter and to settle this account. Okay, I like this. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take this. Let me see, can I copy it? Man, hold on. Let's see if I can copy this. All right. And This right here is an answer. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that there for right now. Oops, what happened? There is a certificate of service. Now, certificate of service, we don't use certificates of service. I like affidavit of mailings, but I'm gonna copy this too. I'm just showing you another way I do things. I'm copy that too. Put it down here. Certificate of service. All right. All right. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Let's look at something else. All right. I'm gonna get into the meat of something. I'm just getting all of my paperwork. These two documents right here are for the beginner. These are interesting documents. These are very, very good documents. This is for the beginner. If you are new to discharging debt and you don't understand it, or you kind of want to get the concept down in your head, these are two documents that I recommend that you read. Both of them by Moses Washington. It helped me tremendously in understanding this information when I first started out. It talks about the exemption. Now, the exemption is talking about the fact that you're exempted from having to pay anything due to everything is already prepaid, due to the fact that what happened in 1933. Matter of fact, we're actually gonna go through this document right here. It's 19 pages. I don't think I need to read every section in this, but it's some very, very good information because it goes into what happened in 1933 very thoroughly under House Joint Resolution 192 of June 5th, 1933. This document right here tells about the exemption. This document right here tells you how to use your exemption. All right, so now you got using your exemption. There isn't any money. Gives a concept of the public and private. And then also debts that can be discharged. This is a very good one. Talks about what can be discharged and debts that cannot be discharged. Gives you some words of caution, the right mindset that you have to have, which you do. Then a bill of exchange. Now they also have in here a bill of exchange. Also, this is a bonded bill of exchange, as you can see right here. And they got a bond in here as well. Accepted for value stamp. This is a bond that you actually put in court right here. This is a bond. Show you how to use this. Okay. How creditors might respond. This is going to get you in the mindset and get you ready for how they're going to respond. How to deal with uncooperative creditors. All right. And conclusion. Now, these documents, when I first started off discharging debt and first started learning about it, these were some of the documents I was reading. Now, what's really good, I think, in my particular situation is I had almost 3 years to read all this stuff before I ever attempted to discharge a debt. Okay, I was reading over and reading it 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 over and looking up words and reading it over and looking up words and reading it over and reading it over and over and over and over and over again. I can't tell you how many times I read these documents over and over and over again, sitting in a cell, trying to understand the concepts that were involved in it, which I was able to, and reading other documents that corresponded to this, like creditors and their bonds, because if you're looking right here, you'll see that they made a bond right here. This is like a court bond. Equality under the law is paramount. Well, also you have in up here with where is that at? With creditors and their bonds. All right, which this document is a very good document as well. Oh my God. You also see a bond right here. It's a court bond. This is a court bond. All right, this is how you put in a court bond. You know, you put in a court bond. You're going to need to learn how to bond a case. Now I'm going to start. There's also, I'm going to tell you this right here. The best letters that I have ever read on discharging debt is in here, is in these documents right here. All right, these documents right here are the best letters that I've read. This right here is on on a criminal case. Up here you got the ones if you want to discharge a like a mortgage or something like that. These are the ones you use up here in the beginning of it. So let's look at these letters real quick, because these letters are very, very good. And so let me see. No, this is a notice of pre-authorized use of credit, certificate of service, UCC1. All right. This letter right here, I want y'all to write. I want you to study this letter. This is the most comprehensive letter I've ever read on discharging debt, and I've read a lot of them. I've read a lot of them, and if I had to pick one as number one, this one and probably one other one that I had are probably the top two. But if even out of those two, I probably would put this one number one. And the reason why is because it deals with all the principles of discharging debt in it and all the possible outcomes that could apply, and you kind of pin them down. So let's look at this real quick. It's notice of effect and failure to respond. Dear account manager, regarding this, blah, 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 received on you by whatever the date is. As consideration to settle this account, I've not received notice of the account. And don't pay attention to these dates, because let me tell y'all something. The older stuff is the best stuff. The new stuff is trash. A lot of the new stuff that they putting out on the internet right now is trash. It's a lot of the guys, they don't understand the concept. They don't understand how this is supposed to work. I don't know what the internet did, but it seemed like the internet, it kind of created, I don't know what happened to all the guys of the past and everything. It just seemed like they disappeared. That's why I started collecting information, because stuff was just disappearing off of the internet. And there was like a cornucopia of individuals. They really understood these processes of how to discharge debt. And this right here is, I mean, they were written by professionals. This is definitely, I think an attorney wrote this, if you ask me, somebody like this. But it's notice and effect of failure to respond. Dear account manager, regarding, and this is going to be your registered mail number or your certified mail number, okay, received on you on the date it was received, as your 3811 form will attest to. As consideration to settle the account, I have not received notice of the account being adjusted. I presume one or more of the following situations is true. Number one, you applied the consideration to settle the account, and notice that he didn't use the word pay. All right, he didn't use the word pay. Okay. Number two, you elected to cancel the debt. Number three, the instrument tendered to you was in some manner defective in form or substance. Number four, you received the tendered instrument and have failed to ledger it to settle the account. If you applied the consideration to the account by ledgering it and therefore settling and closing it, I will assume that you just forgot to notify me that the account is settled and closed. That's number one. Number two goes right here. If you elected to cancel the debt whereby ledgering the account was not necessary, I will assume you just forgot to notify me that you canceled the debt. Notice that we're making a lot of assumptions, which we have a right to, since they have notified us or say, provided us anything in writing. You have a right to assume or presume something. Number three, if the instrument tendered to you was in some manner defective in form or substance, then I will assume you received a certificate of protest / notice of dishonor from the drawee. The drawee would be the Secretary of Treasury, which is a financial institution. They have to make presentment. Okay, this is a very important part of this. A lot of you, when you attempt to discharge debt, you tender someone a negotiable instrument and you just say, well, they didn't accept it. Well, no, that's not, it doesn't matter if they accept it or not. They're required to make presentment. Let's look at the word presentment real quick, because this is very important, because a lot of people just think, this is where everybody gets stuck in trying to discharge debt, is this part right here. Let's get over here. You got to know now. You need to write down this word. This is a vocabulary word that you must know. And I'm going to give you a list of them real quick. We're going to go over a list of words that you got to know, all right, to discharge debt. The first one that you got to know is the word presentment. The word presentment. Okay, that's what happens. There are two different definitions for presentment. Presentment for when Congress introduces a bill in the legislature and then makes presentment before the president for him to sign off on. That's one form of presentment. The other form of presentment is when you make a presentment of a negotiable instrument for payment. So it's presentment. So here it is right here, presentment. Number one, the act of presenting or laying before a court or some other tribunal a formal statement about a matter to be dealt with legally. Okay, that's the general definition. Number two, which is criminal procedure, a formal written accusation returned by a grand jury on its own initiative without a prosecutor's previous indictment request. Presentments are obsolete in federal courts. All right, that's a grand jury. All right, now this is the third sense, number three. Usually, number three is a magic number, and a lot of times you're going to find that the third sense of a word is commercial in nature. It says the formal production of a negotiable instrument for acceptance of payment. See, bills and notes, which bills and notes is on the website. That's American jurisprudence. See, bills and notes, that's American jurisprudence. All right, bills and notes, letters of credit. Presentment and dishonor occur, for instance, when the holder of a check attempts to cash it at the drawee bank, but payment is refused because the drawer lacks sufficient funds on deposit. The demand for payment is presentment. The bank's refusal to pay is a dishonor. All right. So there it is, presentment for acceptance, production of an instrument to the drawee, acceptor, or maker for acceptance. This type of presentment may be made anytime before maturity, except that within bills payable at sight, after demand, or another or after sight. Presentment must be made within a reasonable time. Presentment for payment, production of an instrument to the drawee, acceptor, or maker for payment. This type of presentment must be made on the date when the instrument is due. All right, so right here you can see that presentment, whenever someone receives a negotiable instrument, presentment must be made. Okay, they cannot say, I don't accept this form of payment. They cannot say that. They will attempt to say it. A lot of times they do. A lot of times they do it because they are woefully ignorant of this kind of information as well. They don't know. They're just so used to getting checks in the mail and things like that. And you get this in the mail and they're like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? There are no routing numbers on it. What am I supposed to do with this? All right, they got to go through a whole lot of stuff to satisfy, to monetize that instrument. It's a big inconvenience. That's why they don't want to mess with it. But we're not worried about that, whether something's convenient for them or not. That's not our problem. That's their problem. They're the ones that should know or do know that there's no money in today's society. And for you to demand payment from someone, that's a form of, they kind of like, fraud that's being conducted against you. Because it's like, okay, well, there ain't no money. You're supposed to know at least. Federal Reserve notes are worthless pieces of paper. You know this. You just want to get it because it's something easy to negotiate. It can negotiate very easily. They can take it to the bank and the bank will accept it. Federal Reserve Bank will take Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve member banks will take Federal Reserve notes. All right. However, they got to go through some extra steps when they get a negotiable instrument in order to monetize it. They can't go through the regular channels. They got to go through some extra necessary steps in order for that to become effective. And they don't like doing that. And that's why it's important and incumbent upon you to understand the process of discharge or anything about negotiable instruments. When you make presentment, what happens is if there's a protest. Let's look at the word protest next. There's protest. Let's look at protest. That's the next word we need to know. Protest. See, payable after acceptance or protest of non-acceptance. Payable after sight. But let's look at protest. Protest. Okay, let's look at the overall. A formal statement or action expressing dissent or disapproval. All right, but here's the second sense. A notary public's written statement that upon presentment, a negotiable instrument was neither paid nor accepted. Okay, so that's what a protest is. This is why they have notaries in the bank. Notaries are in the bank, not for you. It's for the bank because banks are always doing protests on negotiable instruments. They have a private banking side to the banks. I don't know what these people be trying to act like they don't understand negotiable instruments and all of that, but they know what it is. That's why those notaries are in there. Notaries are not in the bank for you. Right here. Noting or initial protest is a memorandum made on a dishonored instrument with the notary's initials, date, and the amount of noting charges, together with a statement of the cause of dishonor, such as no effects, not advice, or no account. This is done to charge the memory of the notary and should be done on the day of dishonor. All right, so right there, here's the third sense also. All right, which is 3 is a magic number again. A formal statement, usually in writing, disputing the debt's legality or validity, but agreeing to make payment while reserving the right to recover the amount later. This is when somebody pays something under protest. I'm sorry, that was you know, like when you pay your taxes under protest and then you take it to tax court and try to get your money back. But you can pay something under protesting and then take them to court. All right, so the next word we're going to look at notary. I'm sorry, I went back too far. Got look at all this stuff with the notary now. So we got protest and we got presentment. Now we're going to look at a notary. And say right here, you have a notary protest certificate. These are all things you need to do. You need to know what a notary protest certificate is, a notarial record, notary seal, all right, notary public. Let's look at a notary public real quick. Let's study this. Okay, notary public, a person authorized by a state to administer oaths, certify documents, attest to authenticity of signatures, and perform official acts in commercial matters such as protesting negotiable instruments. So you can see that's one of the duties of a notary is to protest negotiable instruments. So I don't know why people don't understand why we use notaries in commercial transactions. That's their job. That's what they're for. They try to say notaries are only in California. They try to hit you with notaries only authorized for financial institutions. But then you need to call them and ask them, well, how do you define financial institution, and where do you derive that definition from? Because in the United States Code, a private banker is a financial institution. The post office is a financial institution. Auto sales places are financial institutions. There are a lot of different financial institutions. So you got to always get them to qualify their meaning of things. If you're in California, they're going to do that to you. A notary public is an officer long known to the civil law and designated as a registrarius or actuarius or a scrivarius. Okay? The notary public or notary is an official known in nearly all civilized countries. The office is of ancient origin. In Rome, during the Republic, it existed. The title being Telebillonius, Forensis, I can't pronounce that, or Personae Publicae. And there are records of the appointment of notaries by the Frankish kings and the popes as early as the 9th century. They were chiefly employed in drawing up legal documents as scribes or scriveners. They took minutes and made short drafts of writing, either of a public or private nature. In modern times, their more characteristic duty is to attest the genuineness of any deeds or writings in order to render the same available as evidence of the facts therein contained. All right? In jurisdictions where the civilian law prevails, such as the countries of continental Europe, a notary public is a public official who serves as a public witness of facts transacted by private parties and also serves as an impartial legal advisor for the parties involved. In colonial Louisiana, the notary public had the same rank and dignity as the continental civilian ancestor. Although notaries still constitute a protected profession in present-day Louisiana, holding office for life provided they renew their bonds periodically in compliance with the governing statute, the importance of their function has diminished over the years to the point that it's been said that a Louisiana notary is no longer a truly civilian notary. Indeed, the trained lawyer is nowadays the Louisiana and American counterpart of the continental civilian notary. That's interesting. When you get a Black's Law when you go get look up corpus juris secundii and you look up all the powers of a notary could have people arrested. A notary could marry people. And the reason a notary could marry people because they're to attest to contracts and signatures. They can attest to contracts. It's real interesting. They limit the powers of notary by statute. Their powers are actually limited by the statute. Notary certificate. A notary certificate. A notary signed and sealed or stamped statement attesting to the time and place that the specified acts and documents were authenticated. We have a notary seal. Notation credit. Okay. Letter of credit. See letter of credit, copy note, and that's it. But right there, I want you to see a notary protest, a notary certificate, and what a notary protest is. I want you to understand the role that a notary plays in negotiable instruments. A notary is a witness, and negotiable instruments are contracts. So obviously, a notary is going to play a part in that because the notary is there to attest to signatures and things in dealing with contracts. They're a witness. Okay, they're a witness to things. All right. So now that we got that out the way, all right, so now we get back here, we can understand that a notary is sending it, Susan Smith Notary. She is the one that mails off your correspondence. That's all she's doing. She is not involved in the substance of the transaction. Do not involve your notaries in your business. That is this in the body of this letter is none of the notary's business. She's not here to attest to that. All she is here to attest to something was mailed and something came back. That's it. All right, if no answer came back, if there was not a response, she's there to certify a non-response. That is all you're hiring the notary for, to certify a non-response. That is it. When the notary certifies a non-response, that's on the notarial record. That constitutes a judgment and a stampo. All right, and you present that in court. You make sure the notary has a notarial record book. You can always tell when somebody is very good at notaries, it's a notarial record book. What a notarial record book looks like, and like this, notarial, you get a good notarial record book. And you should, and I'm gonna suggest that if you're gonna do this, I would suggest that you go and make your own notaries. Get a family member, get a friend, a girlfriend. I usually like to get somebody who's not interested in this information. You know, if I talk to them about the information and they just like kind of, not really interested in that, I hit them with, hey man, or hey, excuse me, ma'am, you like to make some money? So yeah, look, and they can make money if you train them well enough, and if you got a circle of people that you're associated with who's always discharging debt or utilizing notaries for some particular matter. I had a girl, she's making $1,000 a week because she was a part of a big group where everybody was doing this, and she charged for traveling, her traveling expense, and she had everything, her price thing down, and she was making money every week doing this. Doing notarial protests. Once she understood what was going on and understood the process, making money. All right. So that's one of the things you can do to lure them in to become a notary. Becoming a notary is not very expensive, except in California. I think in California it might be about $500. California is just, everything is just expensive for no reason. I don't understand what's going on with California. California don't want people there. That's why they trying to run everybody out the state. They trying to. They really trying to. They trying to get everybody out of that state. But you have usually, like in Georgia, it's like, I don't know, I don't think it's any more than $60. I remember in South Carolina, I got a girl to be a notary. It was $31 in South Carolina, you know, and she took off, and she took off her business. First, she wasn't that interested in what I was doing until she turned it into a business and started making money with it. All right. So it's always good to have your own notary and to train your own notary. You don't want to be going to people and try to explain. You definitely can't go in a bank and use a notary in the bank for this. You can't. That's the bank's notary. All right. You can't do that. Don't ask me. Don't go in there trying to use it. Don't be stupid. All right. Don't use these people's notaries. All right. That notary is on their team. That notary is not on your team. Okay. You need to get a notary that's on your team. All right. And the best way to do that is go out and train your own notary. That's what I've always done. I don't go out and I do meet women sometimes, or people, sometimes they are notaries, and then they open to learning this information, and then it'll happen like that. But a lot of times I ain't got time for that. You know, I made myself a promise. I said, every girl I date gonna be a notary. I used to say that. I said, every chick I date gonna be a notary. I started dating them, and as soon as I'm somewhere in the midst of our relationship, I said, hey, babe, you wanna make some money? Let me help you guys. I'm gonna take you down and make you be a notary. So you make some extra money on the side. I would always do that. And because I would always do that, I always had about 5 or 6 notaries that I could go to at any time. I would never have a problem with a notary. And it's just interesting to me. And I'm going to just say this too. This is a result of having a hustle mentality. you can really see people who like work 9-to-5 jobs and always walk the straight and narrow. And, they just don't think outside the box. Those individuals have a hard time with some of these concepts I'm talking about. Now, some of them, they'll break out of that. They'll get introduced to new information and they'll realize that they were trapped in a box their entire life. And then they'll break out. That reminds me, have anybody ever read the allegory of the cave? Is there anybody? Let me open up your mics real quick. Has anybody ever heard of the allegory of the cave? Let me open up your mic. Anybody heard that? The allegory of the cave.
I heard about it, Yusef.
Tell me what did you hear about it?
What I heard was, you had a bunch of people that were in a cave, and they came to an opening, and it was real bright, and they were afraid to go outside because it was too bright, so they just stayed in the cave.
Okay, I'll give you a better synopsis of it. What it was is that there was a cave. There was these three men. They were trapped in a cave. They were born in a cave their entire life. They had never ventured outside of the cave. But at the mouth of the cave, they could all see was a light. But they would never go out past the light. But they could see shadows walking back and forth at the mouth of the cave. And they all used to debate amongst themselves of what the shadows were and what they meant. Now, you got to understand, these are people born in a cave, never been outside of a cave, all right? All they've ever seen are shadows. They haven't seen the real thing. So one day, one of them got very curious and ventured outside the cave. When he walked outside the cave and walked into the light at first blinded him. Y'all know when you come out of the darkness into the light is going to hurt your eyes at first. Okay, and that's called, when you go from light into darkness, it's called scotopic vision. As your eyes slowly adjust to the darkness and you start to see. All right, but coming out of the darkness into the light, all right, you're blinded at first. But as your eyes slowly adjust, you begin to see things. And then they began to see that the shadows weren't the real thing. The people were the real thing. The people were casting the shadows. And he saw a world of light and color and many wonderful things. And he went back to the cave to tell his friends and explain to them the true nature of things. And his friends grabbed him and tied him up and took a boulder and put it at the mouth of the cave and wouldn't let it. Said anybody who goes outside the cave, it drives them crazy. That's a lesson that everybody should think about, about getting outside of the box and listening to people tell you things outside of the box. It's called the allegory. I don't know if I told it exactly. It's called the allegory of the cave. It's about allegory of the cave. Hey, man, what's wrong with my allegory of the cave. Yeah, I mean, allegory of the cave. Plato's allegory of the cave. Allegory of the cave. You see it right here. It's real. You should read this. Everybody trying to explain in connection with presentment, a path to enlightenment. Plato's allegory of the cave. See, Plato then describes the difficulties a prisoner might have adapting to being freed. When he sees that there are solid objects in the cave, not just shadows, he is confused. Instructors can tell him that what he saw before was an illusion, but at first he'll assume his shadow life was the reality. Eventually, he will be dragged out into the sun, be painfully dazzled by the brightness and stunned by the beauty of the moon and the stars. Once he becomes accustomed to the light, he will pity the people in the cave and want to stay above and apart from them, but think of them and his own past no longer. The new arrivals will choose to remain in the light, but, says Socrates, they must not. Because for true enlightenment, to understand and apply what is goodness and justice, they must descend back into the darkness, join the men chained to the wall, and share the knowledge with them. I mean, this is something you should read. The allegory of the cave, it had a big, Plato, that had a big impact on me because it made me understand some things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, You know, it's just like that too. When you come into some information and you go back and try to explain it to people and people don't believe it. One of the biggest things that I've had trouble with and explaining to people is the law of attraction. You know, I've had I've had a level of success in my life. I'm not saying I'm the most successful person or anything, but I've had my own level of success. I'm sure some of you listening have had yours as well. And what I try to go back and tell people is the mindset that I had to obtain success. You know, people ask me, okay, oh, gee, what did you do to become successful or do this and do that and everything? And I'll say, well, the first thing is I wrote down my goals or, you know, and then I read them every day. And then I programmed my subconscious mind. And then I started visualizing things. And like every time I would get a new car, you know, this happened for me every time. The first thing that would have to happen is I'd have to have a strong urge to get a new car. I'd have to have a strong urge. Like right now, I don't have an urge to get a new car. I'm not even looking. I'm not even thinking of a new car. I'm content with the cars that I have. I'm all right. You know, I got other things that are more important. You know, investing in real estate. I'm trying to get up my passion for that. You know, where you know that becomes a burning flame in my chest. You know, I know the state of mind that I need to be in to achieve a goal. Okay, so I would get in the car. I would do that. Once I get a car, I'd start going to the dealership. Every time I see a dealership with the car I want, I'd stop there, get in the car. I'd test drive it. I'd sit in it. I would do that. I'd feel the leather. I'd feel it until eventually there would come a point that my psyche would say, "You can get this car. This is your car. You can get it. This is you belong in this car." And once that happens, somehow, some way, that car is going to be mine. I'm going to end up driving it. It happens every single time, and it happens within 6 months. I only go after vehicles that I know I can get. Like I know my belief system is not there yet to get a $2 million Bugatti. It's not there. So I'm not going to waste time trying to get that because my belief system is not there. But my belief system was there for a Hellcat. My belief system was there for a Mercedes-Benz 550. My belief system was there for a lot of other vehicles that I've had in the past, you know, that I've gotten. My belief system was there. You know, I felt like I can get this vehicle. And some of you understand what I'm talking about. You know that feeling you got when you got the vehicle that you wanted. You know, your belief system was at that level where you knew you could get it. But that same thing. Now, when I tell people this, people who don't have anything going on for themselves, they kind of get disappointed in me. They're expecting me to say something like, well, you know, I went out and I met all of these wealthy people, or I got lucky and fell into some money, or something like that. Just something I met a guy or something like that. That's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear that I corrected myself, okay, that I disciplined myself in my thinking to think a specific way. This is why Robert Kiyosaki said, broke is temporary, poor is forever. A person with a poverty mentality is never going to come out of that mentality. Well, I'm not going to say never, but it's very difficult. A person who has has an abundance mentality can lose everything that he got and get it back again and get it back again. So it's a mentality that you have to have. And, you know, these are the things, you know, like when you're trying to go back and explain things to people, it's kind of like what the allegory of the cave is. You're going back trying to explain things like I'm talking about this notary right now. I'm telling people, I say, look, I'm not going out there. I've never tried to do that, go and use their notaries. I understood off the rip. I'm like, now I'm going to go make my own damn notaries and train them and tell them what I need them to do. Because I've always had the mindset that everything needs to be in-house. I've always had that mindset. Everything needs to be in-house. You don't need to be going outside your house to get anything from anybody. You have everything in-house. That's my mindset. All right, real quick. Let me take some questions real quick, 'cause I ain't gonna stay on all day tonight. But let me take some questions real quick from y'all.
Question on the bond.
All right.
Um, a bill of exchange is basically an order to pay, and you pay
Yep.
it from the bond. And
Yep.
then on the on a master discharge indemnity bond, typically they have two sureties along with your name.
Right.
Does a bond have to have the two sureties? Because this whole process is kind of hard to explain to someone.
I'm gonna tell you what
And
I usually do when I conduct in-person seminars and I got huge crowds of people. the very first thing I do is I make a bond and have people in there sign each other's bond. I do that. Now, I will say this. I don't have any evidence to show that you need two sureties. However, I do think there's something to it because the GSA bonds has two sureties. You have a bid bond, payment bond, and performance bond. You have the bid bond, and the payment bond reinsures the bid bond, and the performance bond reinsures the payment bond. Those are two sureties, and you have that in and also in ancient and antiquity under the Admiralty. They require two sureties as well. They call them fiduciaries or sureties on cautions on bonds. Now, other than that, I haven't really seen any evidence to support that. But what I will say, because I didn't create any of these processes, but I do understand that there must be some sort of principle involved in that with two sureties. Now, I don't see the necessity for it in what we're doing because as a secure party, you have an exemption that is unlimited. All right, so you said you're making yourself the principal on this, or the surety. I'm sorry, as the surety on this, and you have an unlimited exemption. So I don't see the need for having additional sureties. I really don't. I've asked that same question myself, but I didn't create the process, and I didn't try. And so I teach the process to people how it was presented to me, and then I allow them to make decisions on whether they want to change some things or not. When you look at other bonds, when you look at other bonds.
See, because my concern on that is that the surety, the suretor is responsible for something. So if you signed your name on someone else's bond and then they go out and do something stupid like start trying to buy houses and cars instead of offsetting debt, could that blow back on you if your name is on someone else's bond and
Well,
they
no,
use it
because
inappropriately?
your name is not on the instrument that they use to try to obtain whatever it is that they tried to obtain. Nah, that's like having your name. Okay, let me ask you a question. If you had a joint bank account with a spouse, and she goes out and does some fraud with that bank account, and the feds come and investigate it, and they find out that she went out and signed her name on checks and things like this, are you going to be implicated in it?
Well, you would be responsible if she wrote checks beyond what was in the balance. You'd be responsible for it.
Yeah, but who going to jail?
Oh, jail, yeah, just her.
Just her. That's what I'm saying. Y'all both got the account. She's the one that committed the act. You didn't. See, when you do a negotiable instrument, there's going to be a signature on it. Okay, that is the person that is. That's the drawer. Okay, the drawer on that. The account, which is the bond. Okay, that don't have anything to do with the sureties. They're just the sureties on the bond, and they don't have anything to worry about anyway because they have unlimited exemptions as well. Everybody has an unlimited exemption. This is why I showed you this first. One of the first documents you really, really should read are these two right here. This exemption and using your exemption. These two documents, I can't stress enough the importance of reading those documents because they give you a foundational understanding of HGR 192 and what an exemption is. Now, in this modern day, with this modern day way of people are teaching, it's not like how it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, people weren't using a lot of the phrases that they're using, like status correction and discharging debt. They wasn't saying it the way they talk today. Everybody was saying, I'm going to use my exemption. Everybody was using the word exemption. Today, people are not using that word exemption. It seems to have like fizzled out. But people used to say, my exemption, my exemption, my exemption. An exemption would be the social security number without dashes that represented a closed account. The closed account. All right. So when you're turning this bond in, the closed account is associated with the social security number. That's how you identify your straw man with the federal government. That's the account the federal government has. That's the account it's associated with. That account is being closed down. So they would show a social security number with dashes and a social security number without dashes. That's simply an open account because it's got dashes. That's how you write it in the public. And it's a closed account. That means it's private. Okay, that's what it means. Open, closed, open, closed. A lot of people, we used to understand this back in the early days. A lot of this information, I don't know how it's gotten lost to individuals, but it's not being taught like that for some reason today with an understanding of what it is, because people don't understand basic principles. That's why I spend so much time talking about basics. All right, you got to know what a closed account is. You know, a closed account. You go it again. You go in the Black's Law Dictionary. Always look up these words. You know, you got to always look up words. The first 6 weeks of your studies in this should just be studying words. I'm be honest. That's what I did. I started off trying to read all this stuff, and it was so many words I didn't understand. I didn't know the definition of, and I just said, you know what? Let me just start looking up the words. I started looking up the words. So we go to account. So you got closed account right here. Closed account right here. An account that no further credits or debits may be added to, but that remains open for adjustment and set off. This is why when you close your Social Security with the account number with the Social Security Administration, all they're gonna tell you is stop using it. This right here means you're not using it anymore. Account no further credits or debits may be added to, but that remains open for adjustment or set off. All right, that's what we're using it for set off purposes, and we're providing them with the bond. Okay, so it's a closed account. So when you're reading creditors and their bonds, and they make reference to a closed account, that's what they're referencing. That's what Fred and Nina didn't understand, what I was talking about earlier. It would help for you to get some context on what I'm talking about by going and looking at stuff like this video right here. You know, with these people right here, this will really, really help you. Definitely go in this guru section right here. I watched this Fred and Nina EFT seminar, electronic funds transfer seminar. I should have changed it to I'm gonna convert it over to a MP4 and re-upload it back. It's not. I thought it was MP4, but let me just download it real quick. This is interesting, though. This is real interesting because Fred and Nina, they was at one time, they reached the top nationwide, you know, for a very short period of time, but they were like going all over the country. Everybody was talking about EFTs, and people still try to use EFTs to this very day. Let me see if I can get it to play. Where is this thing? I got to convert it over into something, y'all. Let me see. Send to. I got a converter on here. I thought I had a converter on here. MP4 converter. I'm going to have to convert it later on. I can't convert it. I'm going to convert it. I'll convert it later on. I don't have a conversion program on this computer. I think it's on my laptop. I don't know. I haven't looked at this in a long time. But this is Fred and Nina. I'm going to convert it for you because I want y'all to watch it. I want y'all to watch that video because y'all need to really understand, because they're going to be explaining what they doing. They trying to use a closed account at a bank. They're trying to use a closed account at a bank and then use the checks off your closed account where you write closed account on it and put EFT. And it was actually working. It was actually working at first. A lot of stuff that you do, it'll work at first. They were sending people their car titles and all kind of stuff. And it's something about, I'm going to say this too. I really feel that when you learn how to discharge a debt, you should keep it to yourself. The reason why is they try to keep this an individual pursuit. It's not nothing that they want spreading all over the place. And that's what a lot of you people do. Y'all have some sort of success, and then you want to go on the internet and talk about what the success you had. And next thing you know, it gets shut down. I can tell you unequivocally from my experience in dealing with anything, they are not going to let anything come into being where everybody on planet Earth is going to run through the door and it's going to work for them. I don't care how right you are. I don't care how, according to law, you do whatever it is that you do. That's not going to happen. You might as well forget it. Get that shit out of your mind. It's not happening. I've been doing this a very long time. I've seen a lot of things come into being where it works, and then all of a sudden the masses get a hold of it and they shut it off within a week or two. Happens every single time.
And
Let me open.
when you submit your bond to the Treasury Department, is there any way of knowing if uh, it's not valid
No, I don't mean
or if
it. No,
it's
they'll send
defective?
it back if it's not valid. They'll send it back, and that's not your business, because if there is anything wrong with it, they're supposed to send it back. Okay, how everything works in commerce, it works by silence is acquiescence. Okay, if they don't respond, that's what this letter was that we were just reading. Okay, if you don't respond, okay, then there's a presumption that's going to take place. I'm
But do
law.
they tell you what's wrong with it, or they just send it back?
They'll just send it back. They won't tell you what's wrong with it. They'll just send it back. I've only seen bonds get sent back probably about 2 or 3 times. I haven't seen it many times. And usually, you know what it was? It was individuals who were real negative. It was just everything about them was negative all the time. That's one thing I noticed about the similarity of people who get their stuff sent back. They weren't positive about life, about anything. And it just got sent back. But no, out of the hundreds that I've sent off, I've only seen about 3 come back. And they don't come back because they are valid. They're good bonds. Tim Turner, that's what he was known for, writing bonds. His bonds were good bonds. And that's what I think this bond right here is, this master charging set-off bond. But you got different ones, you can make your own. Like I made my own bond. I made my own. And I gave some examples down here for people to look at down here in the Cure Party documents. I put them in here. You got the master bond, bond registers. Did I not put it in here? Oh, I think I took them down. Dang, I took them down. Master bond. Yeah, I took them down. Man, dog. I left them. Wait a minute. Is it negotiable? Yeah, I took them down. Shoot.
Yusef.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, is there a link on your website that directs us to set up a consultation with you?
I will put one up. I have so many consultations, but I'm trying to catch up on all the ones I got, man. Let me tell you, consultations. It's incredible how many I'm thankful. I mean, because it's like it's money, but it's like I didn't expect that many people to be wanting to talk to me all the time. I mean, it's like wow. Y'all wouldn't believe it. Y'all wouldn't believe it. It's incredible, the amount of people that want to pay to talk to me, for different things. But it's cool. It's cool. That's why I haven't put anything up. I haven't put anything up because I'm getting inundated with consultation requests. But you know what? If you want to get a consultation with me, just simply cash at me at Yusufale19 and put your phone number in, and I'll text you my number. Then you can text me back with a time and date you want your consultation. Sometimes I'll do it right there on the spot for you, because I'll just have some free time. And as soon as you see the cash app, I'll call you, and then you could just text me back, and I'll get involved in it. Last couple of days, I've been moving and doing a lot of things, trying to make sure, because I'm moving right now, so I have a house full of stuff, and I just really kind of put the consultations on the back burner the last 2 days. But if you contact me and put that in Cash App, usually I will respond. And a lot of times when I just got free time and I'm not doing anything, I'll call you right there on the spot. I'll say, hey, you want to do it right now? Let's do it. Because I try to get them out the way, because sometimes they come back to back to back, and I let them accumulate if I don't try to take care of them right there on the spot. So that's how you can get a consultation with me, okay?
Okay.
Okay, to the gentleman with the bond, okay, I only had this BC Master Bond, which is, this is your birth certificate. This is a Master Discharge and Indemnity Bond. And I think I put another bond in here too. This bond right here is like the one that everybody was using. It's a good bond, though. It's a very, very good bond. It's a very good bond. It's a good bond. They got different ones. But the fiduciary, the registered holder. It's not the holder in due course. He's the registered holder. All right, and fiduciary Jacob J. Liu, Secretary of the Treasury. And then, okay, you have yourself, and then you have your first surety and second surety again. And then, and this is the tenor of the document. This right here is a trust agreement. All right, because who is he? He's a fiduciary. That right there is telling you it's a trust relationship. That's why they call these UCC contract trust accounts. This is the account. This is the actual account. This is the account. This is your account number. This the reference number is your registered mail number. All right, that's the tracking number on this. See, we're talking about negotiable instruments, and we're talking about holder in due course. That's all we're interested in. Y'all got to take your mind away from a bank, deposits, accounts, checks, and all of that. We're dealing in the world, the private world of negotiable instruments. It is private banking. The principles are very similar in the public and the private, but the actions in utilizing it are different. You know, they have a bank institution set up. They got tellers. You know, they doing all that. They got a formal way that they do things in the public. In the private, you got to set up your own way of doing transactions and keeping track of transactions.
So
Okay.
then you're the grantor and beneficiary, and the trustee is the Treasury Department?
Yes, they are. You can be a beneficiary and a grantor of a trust. But yes, you are. Yes, you can. Yes, you are. You are a beneficiary of it. You are. You're a beneficiary of it. You set up a trust account. And then here's the trust agreement right here. No all men by these presents to facilitate lawful commerce in the absence of substance-backed currency in circulation. And whoever there be Janet Yellen now, or agents thereof, upon receipt of the private discharge and indemnity bond, okay, shall post the full face value of this bond as an asset to the benefit of the United States Department of the Treasury to be used and applied specifically in the manner described hereunder for the purpose of securing honorable settlement for the account holders and accounts listed below. The fiduciary has been entered in the books of the grantor as the registered holder. Okay, so those are your books. You're the registered holder of this account. All right, what is it for? Set off. This bond has been authorized and issued pursuant to the full faith and credit of the grantor. And put your name and guarantors. Put their name, who do by hereby hold, bind, and obligate themselves sui juris by one's own right, jointly and severally, as voluntary sureties for all such account holders and accounts, each jointly and severally, including concluding without limitation your birth certificate account number and any for any sum up to and including $200 billion. Usually, people, you can make it for whatever amount you want to. A lot of people make it for $100 million because they know they're going to put it on a trading platform. All right, so that's why you see a lot of $100 million bonds. All right, and what's the chance of you discharging $100 million worth of debt in 30 years? I don't know. Okay. But ensuring, underwriting, indemnifying, discharging, paying, and satisfying all such account holders and accounts dollar for dollar against any and all pre-existing, current, and future losses, costs, debts, taxes, encumbrances, deficits, deficiencies, liens, judgments, true bills, obligations of contract or performance, defaults, charges, and any and all other obligations that may exist or come to exist during the term of this bond, jointly and severally, liabilities, until the sum or term of the bond is exhausted. In other words, till you used up all the $100 million. Every time that you discharge a debt, you deduct that from the $100 million. If you discharge a house for $200,000, you're going to deduct the $200,000 from the $100 million. Just like when you balance a checkbook, it's no different. The Checkbook Balancing Act occurs in the UCC commercial chamber with the UCC1 and the UCC3. The UCC1 is the initial deposit. Each UCC3 is a deduction from that amount. Okay, it's a deduction from that amount. This is the reason why you set up an account with a UCC. A lot of people ask me, can you discharge a debt without doing all of this? And I tell them, yeah, but you won't have a statement of account. It's no different than paying your house note with a money order, and you don't have a bank account. You know, you don't have a bank account. You can pay your house note with a money order, but you don't have a bank account. Your bank account, at the end of every month, you get a statement of account showing all your transactions, debits and credits. That's what you're doing with this. That's why you're using the commercial chamber. You have a record of all your transactions.
Can you modify the bond after you send it in? Let's say something crazy happens, like the US comes off the dollar and they replace it with something else, whether it's blockchain or just another currency. Can you then modify this, or are you stuck with the original?
I ask you, you got a bank? What I don't know, but do you have a bank account at a financial institution?
Yes.
Can you open up an account at another bank if you wanted to?
Yes.
You can open up many of them as you want, can you?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with this. All you do is create another bond and send it into the Treasury, and every time you discharge a debt, start referencing that bond. No difference.
Oh, wow.
They're going to take it. They're going to take it. They're not turning down nothing because what? They $31 trillion in debt. Y'all got to remember, they $31 trillion in debt. These are your public servants, man. You're a private. That's why when you approach them, you're approaching them as a private citizen. They don't respect U.S. citizens. They look at U.S. citizens as they slaves. They have no respect for U.S. citizens. It's the private American citizens that they have respect for. That's why the status correction is necessary. They ain't have no respect for a U.S. citizen. You work a job. You pay with income taxes. They ain't trying to respect you. You're coming to these people as a private American citizen, as somebody who, hey, look, we your master, and we're going to assist you through this, through your irresponsibility. You know, you got $31 trillion in debt. How can you call anyone on planet Earth irresponsible when the government is that fucking irresponsible? How can you call anybody irresponsible? That is you are the most irresponsible people on planet Earth. Without question. You $31 trillion in debt. That's how you need to approach them. That's how you correspond with them. This is irresponsible. You $31 trillion in debt. And you keep on borrowing money. They just borrow. They didn't got to the point like, fuck it, let's just borrow $2 trillion. They done borrowed $2 trillion, just borrowed it. Y'all not seeing a dime of that money. They finna divvy up that money amongst their cronies in the form of presenting some sort of pretend type social welfare programs for everybody out here, so they can put money in the pockets of their people. And talk about it's paying is being used to pay for certain type of programs. They do the same thing in the music industry. Yeah, I was in the music industry. We do the same thing. We do this right here. We got artists. Okay, you said this is why I don't know artists. After they be with you for a while, they want to get their own thing because the artist is not in control of the money of the contracts. The production company is, or whoever they're signed to. So they send a requisition to the record company. Oh, you know, we got a $5 million budget. Okay, I'm gonna take him into the studio. Okay, and I'm gonna work. We go say, okay, it's gonna be about $500,000 that we're gonna utilize to record this music. All right, so I'm gonna requisition them $500,000. They come to me in my studio and say, okay, well, you know, you charge $65 an hour, but they're gonna tell the record company that you charge $200 an hour. These guys would come to me and tell me this is what they're gonna do. So they put in their pocket the difference of $125 an hour, okay, in their pocket, okay, and the person that is responsible for paying that back is the artist. It's called a recoup. This goes on with the music videos and everything. And when the artist finds this out, this is when they get pissed off. This is when you see in the news they talking about, oh, this dude fuck me and shit like that. And he was doing this with the money and all this kind of stuff because that is going on. And they don't feel guilty about doing it. It's what you care. You know, you got your album out, but he cares with the fact that all that money has to be paid back. That money's not free. And the person that is responsible for paying it back is the artist. The government is doing the same thing. They borrowing $2 trillion and the person responsible to pay it back is you. They don't give a fuck. Same concept. But that's how they feel. That's how they feel about U.S. citizens. When you coming in as a private citizen, look, I ain't no U.S. citizen. I'm not a surety for the national debt. I'm here to assist you with this problem you got. There's a $200 million bond. You think they're not going to take that and it got 3 signatures on it? You don't understand negotiable instruments. You don't understand negotiable instruments. That's another problem people got. They can't believe that they can actually do a $200 million bond and it be worth something. Hard for them to believe that. Hard for them to believe. They can't believe it. I just gave them a $200 million bond. I mean, you know, it's just hard to believe. But what can they give you? They $31 trillion in debt. What the fuck are they going to give you worth anything? Nothing.
Silent weapons for quiet wars. It talks about when the debt, as it relates to the GDP, when it gets above 100%, and we're like at 129%, they have to kill the creditors.
They start killing them off. That's the way they start having wars.
Yeah,
when they start having wars.
and there's a graph. If you look at it, if you get online and look at a graph, the Civil War, First World War, Second World War, they ran the debt up right before the wars, and then boom, it starts coming down right after the wars because they kill off the creditors.
It's a vision, and you're the creditor.
Mm-hmm.
You.
Now that he mentions that, that's something I kind of thought when I was watching the videos, and I would come to the classroom live classes, I was thinking like, I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this is a big government. They have an army, we don't. Like at the end of the day, who has the power?
They honor, but see, this is what I was talking about today on the broadcast. It doesn't matter. They know about karma. They got to make you do it to yourself. They convince. If you look at everything they do with the propaganda, everything is geared toward convincing you that you're doing the right thing, and you end up destroying yourself. You go to war because you think you're serving your country, and you go over there and start shooting at people that haven't done anything to you, and then get yourself killed. They're not responsible for that because you elected to do that voluntarily. You did it to yourself. You didn't do the thorough investigation into the matter. These are things, that's why you have principles that you have to live by. Thou shalt not kill. It's a lot of things, that you have to really sit down and think about. And, and this is another reason, this is the nefarious nature of communism, because that's the total elimination of private property. They want they don't want no more creditors. They want all debtors. They want all y'all to be U.S. citizens. That's what they're gunning for. They're gunning for to get everybody in the public, everybody to be a dependent on the U.S. government. This is how the New World Order is going to take over. I see how they're doing it. They right now they're getting in all the positions of power. They in control of all the banks. They're in control of the media. They're in control of the movie houses. Okay, and right now the last thing that they're getting in control of is all the seats in government. Look at the gubernatorial races and check out the nationality of those people. Then look and see who's your Democratic the head of that and everything like that. Just Bernie Sanders, all these guys. Just start paying attention who your Secretary of Treasury is, who your Attorney General is. All right, the only office they ain't got yet is the president. They're gonna be shooting for that next. They ain't got the presidential office, the Supreme Court justices everywhere. They get in and all these people are liberals. They're leftists. They're leftists. They're socialists. All of them. And that means they want bigger government. In other words, they keep trumpeting this thing that you're a victim. Black Lives Matter, racism. We need to do something. Oh, your right to kill babies. Oh, your right to, change your sex if you want to. It's everything. And if you look at all of it, it is all a direct jab against Christianity, a direct spit in the face of Christ. They spitting in the face of the Christians. They spitting in your face. Spitting in your face. Come on, man. You can't see this. You can't see what's going on. All right. They got to do that. They have to do that because that's what it is, to eliminate private property, because they don't want nobody in the private. They want everybody in the public. Because when everybody's in the public, they got control of everyone. And when everybody comes into the public, they're going to be in control of the offices of the public. So when you hear them say that they're going to be the master race over everybody and you're not paying attention to it, I see how they're doing it. They got some of the already positions of power of the other countries in the world. What do you think that Ukraine war is about? Man, come on, y'all got to start paying attention to what's going on, man. It's right here in front of your face. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying, because they're getting bolder and bolder. Look what they're doing to Kanye West. They're making an example of Kanye West. They're taking all of his endorsement deals. They shut down his bank accounts. Everything about this man. He took a big risk, and he didn't even say anything that disrespectful. He just wants them to reconsider the contracts that they're engaging in with the artists, because they're raping all the artists. They got 360 deals. What kind of artist would sign that? I had somebody come to me and wanted me to help them get out of a contract for a boxer. It was a boxer. He was a boxer. This is a professional boxing contract. When I read that contract, I said, who would sign this? The contract stipulated that the promoter, okay, he can decide to re-sign him or not. How much money he gets. Everything was in the power of the promoter. None of it was in the power of the boxer. Even in the re-signing of the contract, that wasn't even in the boxer's power. The promoter could re-sign him and keep him in the contract if he wanted to. I'm reading this contract like, who the fuck would sign this? That's because a lot of them are illiterate. They can't read. They don't know. A lot of boxers, you know, a person who boxes or fights usually comes from a position of poverty or something like that, where they weren't, you know, they don't come from a lot of good backgrounds, you know, like a big educational background. All right. So they're going to sign these documents and everything without reading them. A lot of athletes, too. You have the dumb jocks. Y'all heard of them and things like that. I'm not saying that all jocks are dumb or anything like that, but you get what I'm saying. They too trusting. They just want to do what they were born to do, and they don't take enough interest in the business side of whatever job that they're in. And then they sign these contracts, and I'm reading these contracts, and that's what Kanye West was saying. Let's put these contracts in the public so the public can read them, and let's have the attorneys go over them, everybody, so you can see what it is that y'all are doing. And then you see what they're doing. That's all he said. That's all he was saying. And they shutting him the fuck down. I don't even think that $6 billion is going to save him. I think he overestimated his power with that. I think he overestimated his power. He think because he got $6 billion, he's powerful. I think they out to show him. They're going to be on an all-out mission to show him the error of his ways and thinking, you think because you got $6 billion that you can't be touched? We're going to show you that little $6 billion don't mean shit to us. And it don't. That shit don't mean shit to them.
So
But anyway,
we are to solely move into private.
You're moving it. It's called private.
Yes.
It's called private. You know what I'm saying? It's the private. So that's why we do everything through certified and registered mail. You know, you keep your business to yourself.
Yes.
Your business to yourself. The more somebody knows about you, the more they can get at you. And then all you're doing is sharing your process with somebody else, is just making it not work for you. They is not trying to free everybody at the same time, man. They're not going to do that. Do you think that they are going to let go of their slaves? You are crazy as a motherfucker. They're going to get mad at you. You know, it's like, you trying to free our slaves? That's how they looking at you. It's like, okay, you free. Mind your business. Don't come over here fucking with our slaves. Mind your business. Okay, you got free. Good for you. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, because they usurp your authority, they are public service. They are supposed to be a service to you. But when you depend on them, now they have the power over you. It's called the doctrine of parents patria. The government is your parent because you're acting like a child. A child cannot take care of himself. A child needs somebody to take care of him. An adult takes care of himself. Come on, I can't even believe I'm going through this. I can't believe I'm even saying this. I've had grown young men that I've had to deal with that want to stay in some of my places. And the first thing that I tell them to come out of my mouth, I say, look, man, I don't take care of grown-ass men, okay? You're going to pay to stay here. I don't take care of no grown-ass man. You grown. 25, 27, 28, 30. I don't take care of grown-ass men, okay? So you're going to come in here and you will have your rent on time every week or every month when like it's supposed to. And I shouldn't have to be coming to you asking you for it every time it's due. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't take care of grown-ass niggas. And you should feel the same way. And all of you on this call, you feel the same damn way. So what do you want the government to take care of you for?
Understood.
Come on, man. I wasn't raised like that. My mama didn't even play that, man. Let me tell you how background I come from. I graduated from high school. I walked across the stage with my cap and gown. After I stopped in the middle of the stage, took my picture, got my diploma and everything, and walked down on the other side of the stage. At the bottom of my stage was my mama waiting for me, all big smiles, beaming with pride and joy, and hugged me. And once she hugged me, she said, okay, thank you. My job is done. Now you can't stay here anymore. And what you gonna do? You gotta go. A lot of y'all crying, oh, we put our kids out too early. I went and got a job at US Sprint. And I'll tell you, I got that job without a college degree. It was a job that required a college degree. I got that job, a salary position. It wasn't an hourly position. It was a salary position, making a lot of money as a 19-year-old. And I got on my own, got me I even had a phone in my car at 19 years old, and had a beautiful girlfriend, my own apartment, and all that. At not living a dream at 19 years old, nice ass car and all of that. Okay, at 19, but to get to that point, I not only used the law of attraction, I was doggedly determined to get out on my own and be a responsible adult. I didn't want to live under my mother's roof anymore. And ever since I left my mother's house, I never went back home, not one time. Even to a point where I was homeless almost one time. I was living on the street. I stayed on the street about a week, and I was, man, let me tell you, I was sleeping in, I had this apartment I got kicked out of. I would go back to that apartment, that the clubhouse would be open, and I would go and sleep in the clubhouse at night and get up in the morning. And I had a membership at like at a LA Fitness. It wasn't called LA Fitness, it was something like that. And I go there and shower and get my clothes on and things like that. I did that about 2 weeks before I started getting back up on my feet. And my mother called me and asked me to come home. I said, I'm not coming home. And I was homeless. I said, I'm not coming home. There's a mindset you have to be, man. You gotta be a strong mindset. You can't have a plan B. You gotta have a goal that you're looking at and no plan B. You can't have a safety net. All right. Well, if you have a safety net, you get lackadaisical. When you don't have a safety net and you're on that trapeze, you're a trapeze artist, your ass is gonna focus like a motherfucker. All right. You're gonna make sure that when you flip off that other bar, you're gonna concentrate like a motherfucker, make sure that man catch you or you catch him. You're not going to slip up. Okay. And that's how it is when you don't have a plan B or you don't have a safety net. Okay. You got a goal that you're trying to reach. You have to have in your mind, this is what I'm going to do. You have to declare it to the universe. This is what I'm going to do. And you have to mean it in your heart. You have to mean it. This is what you can't just lackadaisically say it and don't have no passion in behind it or nothing like that. It's almost like getting to the point of you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired and everything. When you just make a decision, this is what I'm going to do, and it's conviction in it. This is what you have to do as a man. You can't be like, okay, yeah, everybody needs help. I'm not saying I didn't get help. I did get help when I was homeless. I got help. My mother actually helped me too. She helped me with a situation. I got help, but I didn't go back home. I kept on pushing. I gotta keep on going toward my goal and get back on my feet. I refused to be in this condition. And all that happened to me when I was fresh out of jail too. When I was fresh out of jail and had lost everything. Everything. I didn't have anything and trying to figure out a way for myself. And I just knew, I said, look, and I didn't even at times didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something. I just knew I wasn't going to go home. I knew that as long as I woke up the next day, I had opportunity, that the game was over when I stopped breathing. Long as I wake up every morning, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed. I got opportunity. Something's going to happen. I'm going to meet somebody. And that's what happened to me. I was walking in the mall and ran into a friend of mine. And that helped me got me back on my feet. Just walking in the mall. He bumped into him. Hey, man, what you doing, man? Oh, man, I'm just trying to get on my feet. All right, he said, hey, man, come with me. Took me with him, jumped in his car, jumped in his Porsche. He said, hey, man, I need to go check on some of my properties, man. You want to ride with me? I said, yeah. Pulled up one of his properties. It was a townhouse. We walked in. He there checking mail and doing things. We walking around. It was empty. Didn't have any furniture in it. All of a sudden, he bust out and says, hey, man, how you like this? You think this is nice? I said, yeah, this shit real nice. He said, you want to stay here? And I said, yeah, I was so grateful. I'm still grateful to him this day for that. I'm grateful that changed a lot for me. You know what I'm saying? And I had another situation that happened like that. It's just that if you have faith in everything, you got to understand, as first and foremost, none of us know what tomorrow is going to bring. All you have to do is have hope for great things. That's all. You got to always say to yourself, hey, that didn't happen for me, but it must be something better coming. Because I can most assuredly say to you, if you were denied something in your life, it is only because there's something better coming. It's only because something better is coming. That wasn't for you. There's something else that's going to be presented for you. And it might be after 6 denials. But when you finally get what's meant for you, you're going to look back at those 6 denials and you're going to say, oh, that's why I got denied those 6 times. That's what you're gonna say. Yeah, oh, okay. Now I see why you didn't give me the first 6 things. You wanted me to have this. Okay. And you look back at those 6 things, and in comparison, you're gonna be thankful you didn't get those 6 things. You're like, man, god damn, I got something better than all that shit. Man, thank you. Gratitude. Gratitude.
Hey, Yusef.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I got to say thank you for everything that you've been doing on your website. I was taking a course that you had on the was a business trust. That was a very, very good course.
Put it back up. I'll have it back up by the end of the week. It will be back up. I'm working on it right now as we speak. I just did the credit one, and I don't know if you just got on here, but that was one of the courses down
here. I got on the credit one, and I started taking some of the quizzes are working.
Yeah, I'm still working on quizzes. I'm working on the quiz. I'm going back, but I just want you to read it right now. Just read that. Just read it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have all the quizzes ready. But that's some very, very powerful information as well on credit. Very powerful information.
I agree. I agree. I know on the business trust from the oh my God, it was 19 or 22 videos that you had on there. At one point, you were talking about creating trustees. Is that something that you're still looking at?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing right. That's what I'm gonna be doing when I teach all trust. I'm creating trustees. That's what it is, a trust administration course. That's what that course is. It's teaching you how to administer trust. So that's that's the problem with having a trust. You know, like an unincorporated business organization. Who's gonna be the trustees? You gotta have people who are trained to be trustees. You know, you gotta train trustees. The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, they have private universities just dedicated to training their trustees. That's all they do. Train trustees. They got their own private schools to train them.
Well, when you get started with that, when you start it back up, just know that I'm going to be one of the ones.
All right. Okay. I'm definitely, you know, I'm one person. I'm working on it, but it will definitely. I'm in a mode right now. I'm working hard right now. I'm back in my mode where I'm not lazy. I'm in lackadaisical. I'm being very thorough, and I'm on top of it. So it should be down. You know, everything should be done. You know, by the end of the week. I'm trying to really get all this done. I had a lot of stagnant energy in my life. I was living in the same place for like 7 years. You know, I'm looking at, you know, my place is not as the energy in my home didn't feel the same. I just felt like it was time for me to move. You know, just new everything. Just get rid of all my possessions and just get new possessions and just, you know, just change my energy. And sometimes you need to do that. You know, if you become stagnant and you really feel stagnant, sometimes it's just time for a change, more than just a vacation. Vacations are going to only do so much. Sometimes you just need to reinvent yourself and just go to a whole new city. Just go to a whole new city and just start over. Just get that freshness of just being in a new city and just exploring a new city, you know, and meeting new people and making new friends and making new, you know, new associates and a new love life or whatever it is. You know, get yourself in shape, change. You know, just
certainly
change.
This information is has brought a change to me, and I'm very grateful. I'm a little pissed off with myself for finding it late in my life. You know, I'll be 70 years old, but I'm just now finding this out. You know, had I known this when I was back in my 30s, you know, wow.
I agree. I didn't learn it till I was around 38. Yeah, about 38. Well, no, about 36, 37, somewhere off in there. I was in my late 30s when I found out about it. And I felt the same way. I was like, but you know, when we're young, I look at young people, especially in their 20s. And when you're young, you just the inexperienced portion of you, if you don't have people around, that's why you got to be around people to guide young men. Because I didn't have any guidance when I was younger. That's you know, it's just I just got out on my own and had to make a way for myself and figure things out on my own. And I made some mistakes along the way. But one thing that I'm grateful for is the fact that I always cherished reading and being, you know, just reading things. I probably never would have been interested in this information either if I hadn't gotten in trouble. A lot of people, they only come to this information when they have a problem in their life. It's very few people who just come into this information just because they just heard about it and became interested in it. Usually somebody's trying to get some assistance with a problem that they're having, whether it be a foreclosure, child protective services, child support, a criminal case, a traffic ticket. It's something like that. They got some sort of problem and they exhausted all their other alternatives and they found this information and they found that it empowered them and they became addicted to it. And that's what happened to me. It empowered me. I felt empowered by it and I became addicted to it. And I just kept studying. It was one subject that I just read every day. I was just so, I don't know what it was. It was like we were just looking for anything. And I want people to do this. I want y'all to go to Angela Stark's talk show. You know, this is what we spend a lot of time on. Angela Stark. Right here, my private audio. That's a website right there. My private audio. Well, that's not that one. Which one is it? Talk show. Where a website? That's her right there, Angela Stark. Oh, there's a website right there. It's a website right here. And these are guest speakers. And these are the people you want. These are all audios, man. These are all the damn gurus. I think I even got one, Howard Griswold. I need to go listen to that. I'm gonna go listen to that right now. He the one who wrote Paper Arrows. I'd be interested in listening to that. I just saw that. A lot of these guys. I remember Tammy Pepperman, Sam Davis. Remember him? Rob Ryder. That's what accept the deed and become the owner. Paul Andrew Mitchell, lead the Federal Zone. I'm gonna go back and listen to him. I ain't heard that yet. John Stewart. I remember that. David Clarence. They took him off. Douglas Riddle. He was the one that came out and told y'all how to discharge debt using money orders. Let's see, Eugene Kerman, Franco Collins. He got the spiritual side of it. You see, Howard Griswold, know him. Jack Bauer, know him. Gene Keating, we all know him. Love him. Let's see any of these other guys. Charles Stewart, I don't know any of these guys. But a lot of them though I listen to, I probably don't remember who they are. Alfred Addis, he have a good website. Definitely him. He's the one I got on my videos, Alfred Addis. All these guys, you want to go ahead and listen to them. Ken W. These people were very intelligent. There's some very intelligent people on here. And there's a wealth of information on here. These are all the people she's interviewed. She's interviewed a lot of people, and she is the I call her the godmother of all of this. You know what I'm saying? All the gurus used to come on her show, and we all used to sit back and just listen to different guest speakers and everything. And man, just sit for hours just listening to dudes talk, just listening to dudes. That's much like what y'all doing right now. And I would suggest that y'all go and listen to some of these audios, especially some of these people. Like definitely listen to Dean Clifford. Dean Clifford is the one. He came out with the information talking about it's not the name, it's the status that the name occupies. And it wasn't really his information, but he was one of the first prominent people to come out and start talking about it. Alfred Addis got a very good website. His website is actually where I found creditors and their bonds, the full version of it on his website right here. He has a cornucopia of information as well. This dude right here, Paul Andrew Mitchell, how I found out about him is that we were trying to find out who the state of California, I was in court and she said, do I have a license to practice law? And I told her, I said, I wasn't aware that the practice of law could be licensed. So after we got out of court, I went wrote the Supreme Court. I wrote the Bar Association and asked them to provide me with the license. And I gave them several attorneys' names and I gave them $100 money order. And they wrote back and said, we don't have the license and sent back my money order. They said the Supreme Court does. And then we wrote to Supreme Court and they said the same thing and they wrote us back. But the clerk, she put a lawsuit in the return correspondence of this guy, Paul Andrew Mitchell, where he was suing the state of California for all the attorneys in that state for practicing law without a license. And that's how I found out about him. I actually called him. They ran him out of California. He was living up in Seattle, Washington, because they was after him. Then you got the Constitution man. Everybody's heard of him. You know, a lot of these got Gene Keenan, of course. He gonna always come with it. You know, and Sam Davis, I remember him. Sir David Andrew, I remember him. Tammy Pepperman, she was pretty sharp lady. I forgot she was doing something in real estate. Yeah, and Redress Wright, he was on here. She interviewed him. I don't know why she never interviewed me, but I wasn't that well known during this time either. Kurt Kallenbach, I remember him. A lot of these guys, you know what I'm saying? These were all considered gurus in their respective areas of expertise. Some of them, you know, I go back and listen to them, and I like, nah. If I listen to him now, I'm like, okay. Mark Stevens, he wrote Adventures in Legal Land. Mark Stevens, Adventures. Right here, Mark Stevens, Adventures in Legal Land. He wrote this book right here. Adventures in Legal Land, Mark Stevens. If you ever felt there was something wrong with the world, but you just couldn't put your finger on it, then this book is for you. Controversial, informative, and entertaining. It will not only enlighten, but may forever change the way you look at the world, especially law and politics. This book has been called Better Than a Law School Education in 250 pages. It reveals so much more than how to beat a traffic ticket in court, though. Read first-hand accounts proving the world's biggest hoax, including proven strategies you can use to deal with bureaucratic attacks and defend yourself to get the attack dropped. And he wrote that, and it's a couple of other authors and everything there. But he has his own YouTube channel, and he you know, he has stuff too. But I'm just saying, you know, this is what I did when I was learning. I was, you know, on here listening to different guys talk, and it was a guy on here. He was the vice president of a bank, and he came out and he did an interview, and he was telling, and he didn't want his name to be revealed, and he was telling how when the bank makes loans, how don't no money leave the account. And he did it anonymous. He didn't want his name out. And he was saying that the only people who have the power who know how to monetize instruments are the president. It stops there. You know, vice president don't even know. He said,
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting that you talk about this banker, because you've got me reading 2 books by a CPA. I think it's Thomas Schaaf.
Yeah, Tom Schaaf. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Tom Schaaf, he audited banks. I think they took their license. You know, they were CPAs, and they were going in the court testifying as expert witnesses against the bank, and they ended up taking their license.
Yeah. He's got 2 very good books out that I'm on. See, the first book has 264 pages. I think I'm on page 176 now. But I'm going to finish both of those books and write to him and see if his cassettes are still available.
Yeah, he, you know, I love his books too, because he really had a very good, finely tuned understanding of the UCC. And just, you know, they had them guys were well studied, man. You know, some other guys out there that were well studied. You know, I built my education on the backs of a lot of people. You know, I did a lot of my own research too, though. You got to get to a point. What you have to do with this information is, and this is my thoughts in teaching all of this to all of you. I just simply want to get you to a point where you become so knowledgeable that urge to take out on your own takes over. That's what I want to do. You know, when you just get to a point, you know, you got this urge. Yusef, I learned all I can from him. I got to go and take out on my own and go my own direction and learn stuff for myself, because that's what's needed. You need different researchers out here going on their own way, doing investigating. This area of information is so expansive. Ain't no one person can cover all of it. Man, I kill myself. I got to study accounting. I got to study the UCC commercial law. I got to study rules of. I got all these different things I got to study. I had to study. Take years to learn all that stuff, man. Years to learn all that stuff. This ain't something you just gonna learn and, you know, just in a couple of months, anything like that. It ain't happening. I'm telling you, it's not happening. And I know y'all listen to me and y'all think y'all impressed with my knowledge, but really that just comes from years of repetition. That's why I showed y'all that, you know, I got that archive of all my radio shows. I want y'all to understand how long I've been doing this. All my radio shows just consisted of different people calling into my show asking me questions. And I would do that 3 hours a day, every day. To start my show, people calling in and asking me questions, and I answer their questions. It's going back to back to back to back to back to back to back every day. And you do that every day, yeah, you can answer a question. You know, people call in, try to challenge me, and they just don't understand. Like, man, you know how long I've been doing this? How many questions? It's so many people ask me a question and think that that's my first time hearing that question, and really it's like my 1,000th time hearing that question. Another thing is they think they the first person to ask me that question, no matter how off topic or how awkward it is. You know, it's like because people then ask me questions, try to embarrass me. People that ask me questions, try to prove that I'm a fraud. People that try to ask me questions, you know, I done got the whole gamut of everything. You know what I'm saying? So listen, only thing I can tell you is everything I talk about, I've done. I've done it. Okay. Not everything works. I'm not here to say it because every situation is different. But one thing I can tell you is I'm not lying to you. And when you start doing this, you're going to see it on your own. My job is to give you the right information. So number one, you don't end up in jail. I give you information so you get arrested. People give you wrong information, you end up getting arrested. Putting routing numbers on the bottom of negotiable instruments and trying to buy shit and do all this stuff. That's the problem I was thinking about today is too many people think that this is a get rich quick scheme. And it's not. This is not no get rich quick scheme. You approach it as a get rich quick scheme, you're going to probably end up going to jail because you're going to take an unnecessary chance and try to do something like deposit a negotiable instrument in a bank account with routing numbers or something, and then go try to withdraw the money or do something like that, or go buy an automobile and take the car off the lot or do something like that. You're going to do something that's going to get you in trouble. And that's not what this is. So I teach you the right way. I teach you what this was meant to do. I don't go too far outside the bounds of that. Do you have room to experiment? Yes, you do. There are people who obtain cars and houses and things like that. If you do it the right way, if you understand that you are creating a contract and you're discharging a contract, you're not making a purchase, as long as you understand that. But if you can't even train your mouth to stop saying pay for something, you don't need to be trying to do what you're doing because you haven't gotten your mind right to even stand in front of somebody and talk the right way, because anything you say can and will be used against you. It's
Well,
not
I just got to say thank you.
Huh?
I said I just got to say thank you, man, because you got me so now that I'm starting to take trips down to the law library once a week.
Isn't it interesting? It's interesting. Once you start understanding what you're looking at, at first, you go to the law library, you open up a law book, that shit sound like Chinese. But once you learn some basic principles, you're like, you know what, it becomes very interesting. Like, this is interesting, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay. And you see also where you can make a lot of money. Do you know they got law books down there? They got trust indenture agreements in them. I don't ever tell y'all, but American jurisprudence got a set of books. It's a forms and pleadings book. That's
what I went down to look for.
they got damn forms. They don't got them in every law library. If you in California, if you go out to the Orange County Law Library, they got everything in there. But you got to find, and also Pasadena. Pasadena got a real nice law library. Some states got some very, very nice law. The Pasadena Law Library is the most beautiful law library I've ever been in. One in Pasadena, California. It's the most beautiful one. A lot of judges go there. A lot of judges go in there and just chill and everything in Pasadena. But Chicago downtown, they got a real big one. Los Angeles downtown, they got one. It's not that nice. A lot of people hang out in there though. California got like a hangout type law library. You'll see a lot of dudes in there hanging out. Georgia, we just destroying ours. The only thing we got left really is, the colleges. And then they getting rid of their books too. You need to just start exploring. If you're ever just in a city or something, go to the law library, make it a point to make a trip to the law library in a state that you go to. And you may be pleasantly surprised upon what reference material you'll stumble upon. And also make a habit of going to estate sales, because a lot of people have a lot of good libraries in their home, especially older people, because and wealthy districts, they believe in having, how many attorneys are dying off? They got law libraries in their home, man. It's a whole bunch of them, man. Estate sales and everything. And the average person, they ain't going to an estate sale to buy a legal dictionary and reference books. They going for something else. You going in there, mug, looking for books. So, it's a lot of different ways to stumble up on something. All you have to do is just have your mindset on it you know, just on that. Just okay, that's what I'm looking for this, and then it'll attract itself to you. It'll attract yourself to you. It will attract itself to you.
Last thing, I know you don't want to stay on long, but are you going to be giving live seminars?
Yes, I am currently. I just did one in Oregon, in Ashland, Oregon, and I'm going to be doing another one in Houston, Texas, in about a month or so.
You got to come up to the Northeast, man. You got to bring your behind up to the Northeast.
I will. You know, don't know if anybody sent for me, I'll go. You know, these guys are calling me and sending for me. You know, they setting it up, man. You know, they setting it up. So I'm about to do Houston, Texas now, and there's some other people want me. I know some people want me to come to Florida, but I'll definitely come up to the Northeast. I used to go up to the first seminars I used to conduct were in the Northeast, in Maryland. The first seminar I ever conducted was in Maryland, and that was the first time I realized that I was popular because they came and got me, and put me in a nice hotel, came and picked me up from the hotel, and they were having it at a church. And when I rolled up to the church, the parking lot was packed. It was like kind of a big church, and I thought they were having service, and they took me around to the back. So you know how churches are. They have them little classrooms in the back of the church where they conduct Sunday school and all that kind of stuff. So that's where thought I was going. I thought I was going into, in a room in the back of the church to like do a private seminar. Nah, they took me out into the main area. It was packed, and when I walked in, at the side door. Everybody in the room looked at me, and I thought, I'd walked in on somebody giving like a sermon or something like that, and everybody there was there to see me and everything. That was the first time I realized, like, wow, this many people came to hear me talk. It just tripped me out. I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. It was just a total trip. It was a total trip, and it was the Northeast is where my first audience was in that tri-state area, New Jersey, Maryland, New York, DC, Pennsylvania, real heavy in Pennsylvania. All those states right there where my first audience was at. Y'all got a heavy Moorish population up there.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you got a heavy Moorish population. That was my first audience. So I'd be more than happy to come there because I know, God, I know I get some love up there. Ain't no problem. Just anytime you want me to come, just let me know. I'll come.
Will do, man. Again, thank you very much for disseminating this information. And I'm about ready to get off, but I'll be looking forward to the next one.
All right. Hey, yeah, that's it for me, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Once again, if I want to show y'all real quick how you register for the classes. All right. Classes are right here on the classroom. Right here. Live webinars. Right here. All right. That's how you do it. And it's every week. Okay. Peace to the gods. I will see y'all tomorrow, Wednesday. We're going to be talking about secure party tomorrow. I'll be on time at 9 o'clock. Peace.